the US is in a very privileged position that the US dollar is like the currency of the world. And that gives us an ability to do a lot more than what most other countries can do in terms of how aggressive we can get with things like printing money. Like our total debt, I was looking at it before this discussion, coming out of the 2009 financial crisis, which we were talking about earlier. We had 11 trillion of total national debt. Guess how much debt we have today? 10, call it just over 10 years later.
Well, I thought I read somewhere that they had issued like 7 trillion since the pandemic. So I don't 20.
Yeah. What I saw was we're at 26 trillion. So we're up 140% or whatever that is since 2010 in terms of our total national debt, right? The country's been around since 1776 or whatever.
Who do we owe
like
it to though? Like it's just like all this, like, I mean, when you're issuing debt like that, is it just you're basically jeopardizing or the strength of your currency?
Mm-hmm. Kind of, yeah. I mean, some of it's borrowed like inside the US, right? So like,
It's just
people
a
borrow.
maze of shit, dude. I don't
It
like
is a
this
maze.
has
It's kind of a
always
rat's nest.
been. I feel like no one actually knows the answer to this question. We
Well,
need to like
you can the central bank, you can like dig in pretty deep on who holds what. So that the answer's out there, but it is pretty complicated, little rat's nest to follow. But a lot of other countries, hold debt, our debt. People view US treasuries. I mean, you've heard that it's like the safest asset in the world, and it pays like you nothing to hold it, but it's safe, supposedly. A lot of people, institutions and countries buy US dollars because it's more stable than their own currency. And when they're buying dollars, they're usually buying a treasury bond that is debt that's funding everything else, for us. So it's usually a bunch of other countries that are holding our debt is a big piece of it.
just God damn it. Just so complicated all the time with this stuff. So like
But
if
you have
we
to
do,
the key, you can keep it simple. At the end of the day, our debt is exploding. If you had a credit card, like credit cards are maxed out right now. So like what does that mean? Like if your credit cards are maxed out, what do? Right? There's like a couple things you can do. You can
stop
spend
taking
less
the phone
money.
calls.
Stop. Yeah, you can declare bankruptcy, wipe it out. You can start spending less money, right? So you have to control your spending. Maybe you can get a better job and earn more money, right? But like those are the things that you have to start thinking about, and those are the things that over time that the US is going to have to start thinking about. And the reserve currency status has been our like a little escape hatch to avoid thinking about those hard things because we're in a very privileged position. But that's where crypto comes in kind of my world of, and my business partner's like way into crypto, and he's been enlightening me in most respects on it.
Let's
But
talk about it then a little bit, because I know there's a lot of like conflicting opinions about crypto, and there's some people that I know that are really really smart, and I respect their opinion. They're hardcore on crypto.
mm,
There are other people where it seems like it's sort of this day trading type mentality, and I like retail level trading where
mhm.
people set up like a Scott trade account. They're like, I bought Chipotle last week and it went up 4%. Like I, like
You love
I made,
Chipotle. That
I,
was your big winner of
dude, I made a lot of money
yeah,
on
you
Chipotle
crushed it on
early on.
Chipotle. I remember that.
I fucking killed it on Chipotle. I was that dude. That's why I can make fun of them.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure you called me and told me that.
dude, yeah, it was like, I think I bought in at 70 and it went up to, I don't know, 200 or something. I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
I took a lot of L's though. Like,
yeah.
dude, anyway, so what are your thoughts on crypto? Like, where are you at with it? Because you
So
got a background.
there's more that I don't know than what I know. I'm very much like on the beginning of the learning curve of understanding, and but it's fascinating. It's definitely, to me, very similar to the internet revolution of like the late 90s that resulted in a bubble, but then a lot of companies continued on beyond that and then have done incredibly well, right? We've seen a lot of those, the Googles of the world, Microsoft, et cetera. And so, um, but there were a lot of companies that like were worthless in that entire process and became worthless, and people lost a lot of money. So that theme is very true in my opinion right now. So yeah, it's very important to like spend the time to understand what's going on before you start just kind of gambling, unless you're comfortable gambling, which a lot of people are, but you should view it as gambling. Like you could lose 100% of what you put in. But so I say all that because if you dive in deeper, like to me, there's two really cool areas of crypto. One is Bitcoin, which you hear a lot about, which is where, like, to me, the whole reserve currency thing is kind of interesting when we talk about. The second is Ethereum, which is another blockchain crypto asset that enables, it's more of like a technology. It's not a currency. Ethereum's not a currency. It's a technology that enables a lot of different things, including this whole decentralized finance world. That's like pretty wild, wild place. So those are like two different things. Bitcoin, since we're on the topic of, you know, the US government spending money like drunken sailors, the Bitcoin's interesting because it's in some ways you can kind of, it's like, it's basically like a store of value, right? It's like gold, right? That's how I'm thinking about Bitcoin, at least, rightly or wrongly. And actually, like the US used to actually have like our actual money supply, like the dollars in circulation up until like the 1950s,
Was backed
used
by
to
gold.
have gold. Yeah, it used
Yeah.
to have gold. And I think it was like Nixon or something like that. I was like, like it's hard to keep up with this. Like we need more dollars, and this whole gold thing's painful. Like we're gonna get rid of that whole gold standard thing. And he detached it. I'm pretty sure it was Nixon, and then it became
Dude,
a
stop
true.
touching your face. You're driving me crazy right now.
Sorry, it itches, man.
you
I got
got
like
you
a.
got like the full beard and the scratchies.
I know, I do. It does, but
So you're essentially saying that Bitcoin is almost traded like a commodity, in that like gold or something else that holds a value, and then Ethereum is more of like a technology type.
correct. Yeah,
uh
correct.
like one of the things I saw with Ethereum in particular was the ability to like track deeds and ownership of like public property that has long been confusing as hell. Like they're
Yeah, that's like blockchain technology in general is going to be disruptive in a lot of different ways. But Ethereum's the backbone. It's the network that allows
the
all of these
mechanism,
cool
right?
ideas to happen. It's literally like the internet. Like you can compare, like Google was built on the internet and it's awesome. Like there's going to be a lot of companies that are probably going to be built on top of Ethereum technology,
Yeah,
which is
dude,
cool.
it's crazy because I went to school with this guy who's in. I'm working on getting him on the podcast, but he lives in Dubai right now,
Oh, that's
and he
cool.
started the company Coin Mena, MENA, and
Okay.
it's all like what we're talking about,
That's
just,
awesome.
and it's
I'd love
super.
to talk to him.
Dude,
I'll have to listen to him on the
he's
podcast.
fucking cool as shit too. Like he's a homie, but like he he's super driven, and he's Jordanian. So when he's
Okay.
talking, it's just like super like everything he says is just with so much conviction and like intensity. I love it, man. So if I can get him on, I'll let you know for sure. But
Yeah, please do.
like
But to
in general though,
go ahead.
back to crypto, like gun to your head, do you like would you put your money into it? And if so, which one?
Yeah, so I think it's one, it's like I'm all about diversification, so I wouldn't like go all in or anything like that on anything. But Bitcoin is very interesting to me. And just to play that out a little bit further, it's a store of value. And the cool thing about Bitcoin is like there really is a finite amount of them, right? Like that was the theory. That's why gold had this notion of value. Gold is only worth anything because we say it should be worth something, right? Just like
Yeah.
diamonds and everything else. And like diamonds are supposed to be super rare, but now we're like growing them in labs. And if you look at like diamond prices over the last 10 years, I got my wife's wedding ring appraised recently, and they called me like the price went down. I'm like, what is this? I paid
God
all this money
damn.
for this ring. It's like, oh, we're growing them in labs now. Sorry. It's like, okay, that sucks for me. But
So that now women are
um,
gonna want like a fucking chunk of Bitcoin on their ring.
Bitcoin or like maybe a moon rock. I don't know, but so Bitcoin like truly has finite number of them, and it has a system that actually allows you to like access it pretty easily, right? Like gold, like storing gold in your safe at home like kind of sucks, right? Like it's heavy, it's a lot of work, and then you have to like take it to a pawn shop or something. I don't even know where you get rid of gold.
Yeah, I've
Like
traded
it's
like hard currency before, and gold is actually one of the easiest. There's another one. God, what the
But
fuck
you
is
have to
it?
buy those ETFs. Like so now, so nobody actually holds the gold. They buy ETFs that's like gold backed things. And
Yeah, I mean, I held the gold because back in like 2016, there was a big when Trump went into office, like there was a big kind of moment where everybody was like, "Oh, what's going to happen with the dollar?" So I
right.
had bought gold, a year before that, and
Mm-hmm.
then I also bought silver too, and like that
Mm-hmm.
that's where you kind of fuck yourself is if you're buying actual silver, like the hard currency, like 100 ounces of it is heavy as shit. It
Yeah.
takes up a ton of space, and the value of it is so low. It's like for one coin of silver that's 1 ounce, the same amount of gold is worth like I don't know 1,000 times as
Right.
much or something.
Significantly.
It's insane. It's like $17 versus like
Right.
$1,700.
Yeah.
So from a space standpoint, it doesn't make
Yeah.
any
And the
sense.
reason for that is it's supposedly more finite, right? Like, and when gold prices get really expensive, like gold miners do more work. And when it gets cheap, like nobody mines any more gold type of thing. But so Bitcoin, like at the end of the day, to me, it's like I view it very similarly to gold and as an alternative to gold. And so, and you pair that with what we just talked about, like the US printing press running at full tilt and all that debt we talked about. Like my view on it is it's like a hedge, right? Like a lot of weird stuff's probably going to happen. I'm not smart enough to like tell you exactly what is going to happen by
But
any
it
stretch of the
seems in
means.
the short term too, like it's not like I saw Warren Buffett was like getting out of a lot of like his S&P 500 stuff and getting into gold maybe like a year ago. And
Mm-hmm.
usually he's a pretty good person to just kind of keep eyes on. And
Yeah.
that's a big shift for him. Like he's long stood behind US companies and things like that. So I wonder if it's sort of a shorter term play or if it is indicative of like long term, we're really putting ourselves at risk. And as a specialist in this, give me the answer. You know.